Hey, welcome into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's David Wilson. We will be here with you for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports topics, and excited to do so one step closer to the weekend. David, happy Thursday. What's happening?
Happy Thursday, Mo. How we doing? Happy for the weekend to get closer. Happy that the NFL season officially kicks off tonight. I'm not going to pretend to be a fan of the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles, but David does have some fantasy stake tonight, so he will be tuned in from the bleachers at Green Hill High School, as I'll be on the beat tonight with Green Hill and Beach playing some volleyball. So looking forward to that. But I'll have the game and some earbuds in as hopefully the Philadelphia Eagles defense can give me off to a good start in the fantasy season.
Well, the Eagle defense should be in good shape. I'm obviously intrigued by what the Cowboy defense is going to look like. We'll get a little bit more into that as the show progresses. But yeah, big one. Super Bowl champs at home at the Link against the Cowboys in a big NFC East matchup. Again, we'll talk more about that later in the show. But yeah, the NFL, they start to count tonight. What else we got? We got plenty to get into this afternoon. In the second hour, we will be joined by Mike McFeely, who covers, well, he's a columnist for the Forum of FARGO-MOORHEAD out of North Dakota. You may or may not be aware, but North Dakota State, one of the top FCS programs in the country, they are coming into Nashville this weekend, taking on Tennessee State at Nissan Stadium. So wanted to check in and get some thoughts from Mike on the Bison as they head into this matchup, and just get some this is big for a number of reasons. For North Dakota State fans, they feel like they're probably doing a little recon because the FCS championship game is down here at First Bank Stadium on the Vanderbilt University campus in January. So they come in and checking things out this weekend to see where they want to hang out, where they want to stay, that kind of thing when the Bisons get back to the finals again, as they so often do. I think they've won like 10 of the last 15 FCS national championships. So we'll get to check in with Mike, get his thoughts on this weekend's matchup and what things are looking like for the Bisons. In the next segment, we'll be joined by not one, but two KRIESKYs, Matt and Will. Matt is the coach at BLACKMAN. Will is the coach at Riverdale. Not coincidentally, those two face off tomorrow night in a big Region 3-6A matchup. And so we are checking in with the KRIESKY twins to see what kind of trash talk there's been over the course of the week. Looking forward to that one in the next segment. We will also in the next segment be recognizing our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Southern Middle Tennessee Athlete of the Week and our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week. So stick around for those as well. We'll be talking a little baseball. We will be talking a little professional football, as we mentioned. NFL gets started up tonight. Got a little soccer to get into tonight as well. And the WNBA, their season is winding down, and we'll be throwing it back at the top of the 3 o'clock hour to a recent conversation we had with Willie G. Ramirez out of Vegas, talking about the Aces and the WNBA as regular season play winds down and we head toward playoff action. So, again, big show. Looking forward to it. David's got volleyball tonight. I got soccer tonight. Battle Creek and Columbia Central playing out at Ridley Park. We will get into that here in just a second with the rundown. But a couple of unbeaten teams actually going at it down here in Murray County. So it should be a pretty good one. But we are going, I guess we're going in reverse. We're going from pros to preps tonight. So big night as we get ready for high school football week 3 tomorrow. So, David, you're fired up. You ready to roll?
Yeah, it's just crazy, Mo, how we're already on week 3. It feels like just yesterday we were just getting through spring fling, me and you at the hotel. Looking forward to a great summer, and now we're already in week 3 of the fall. It goes by fast.
It does go by fast. Yeah, faster than we like to recognize. But yeah, it's here. Week 3. We will be a third of the way through the schedule by the end of tomorrow night. So fun stuff. With that in mind, let's go ahead, speaking of schedules, and get into yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
In the TSSAA on the volleyball court, it was Siegel picking up a 3-0 sweep over Franklin Christian. It was Eagleville also sweeping Riverdale 3-0. It was Mount Juliet defeating fellow Wilson County rival / Wilson Central last night in 4 sets, 3-1. On the pitch in girls soccer was Vallet Collegiate 4-1 winners over Centennial, and it was Rossview shutting out Montgomery Central 6-0. Major League Baseball action last night up on the north side of Chicago. It was the Braves salvaging the series, defeating the Chicago Cubs in the final of their 3-game set 5-1. It was Wade's Astros bouncing back after a rough performance against the Yankees in game 1 of their series. Astros beating the Yanks 8-7. Up in Norfolk, Virginia, last night the Sounds kept it rolling and took game 2 of that series. Back-to-back wins for the Sounds against the Tide up in Norfolk. 4-0 victors last night for the boys from Hit City. In the W, it was the Atlanta Dream picking up an 86-75 win over the Los Angeles Sparks. It was the Chicago picking up a 88-64 win over the Connecticut Sun.
High school football tonight. It is the Main Street Preps game of the week. You can hear the golden tones of Wade Neely and Casey Patrick as Whites Creek travels to Wilson County, taking on the Mount Juliet Christian Saints. That is a 7 o'clock kick. Also at 7 o'clock tonight, Innovation Academy out of Springfield travels over to Hartsville, taking on the Trousdale County Yellow Jackets. Again, both those games are 7 o'clock starts, and you can hear, again, Whites Creek at Mount Juliet Christian on Main Street Media Radio. Is that how that goes? Go to the Main Street Media website and you can find how to listen to Wade and Casey on that one. Volleyball action this evening. It's a 5 o'clock start for Santa Fe down in Lynchburg, taking on Moore County. At 5:30, Friendship Christian goes to Davidson Academy. At 5:45, Middle Tennessee Christian hosts Columbia Academy. Also, St. Cecilia Academy hosts Providence Christian. Finally, at 5:45, Zion Christian is at Webb School of Bell Buckle. At 6 o'clock, Cookville is at Wilson Central. Mount Juliet is at Station Camp. You can run into David Wilson as Beach is at Green Hill. Also, Lebanon taking on visiting Stewart's Creek. That is a 6 o'clock start as well. Fayetteville is at Cullioca. Columbia Central goes to Franklin County. Hendersonville is hosting Gallatin. Stewart's Creek is at Lebanon. Loretto goes to Lewis County. Mount Pleasant taking on visiting Hampshire. Giles County goes to Murfreesboro Central. Rockvale is at Oakland. Blackman is at Riverdale. Battle Creek takes on Spring Hill. This is a 5 o'clock start, apparently. Smyrna is at Warren County at 6, and we don't know when this one gets underway, but White County, is at Laverne.
Extensive action on the pitch this afternoon for the TSSAA starting at 5 o'clock. These are 5 p.m. starts. It's Gallatin making the trip down to the south end of town to face CPA. Davidson Academy facing Ezel out on Bell Road in a district matchup there. It's Good Pasture making the trip up to Lebanon to face Friendship Christian. It's Glencliff at Kenwood and Antioch at Laverne, and Columbia Academy at Providence Christian, 5 p.m. First touch there. Riverdale at Smyrna. Zion Christian at St. Andrew Swanee, all 5 o'clock first touches. At 5:30, it's Franklin Christian at Nashville Christian. All these are going to be 6 p.m. starts. Marshall County at Spring Hill, some district action. Lawrence County at Tullahoma. Cannon County at Watertown. That is a non-district matchup right there. Portland at Green Hill, so it's going to be a busy night on the Hill. That is a 6 p.m. first touch in district action. Liberty Creek's going to make the trip up to Robertson County to face Greenbrier. That is a 6 p.m. first touch as well. Maplewood at Martin Luther King, and McEwen at Montgomery Central. All those are 6 o'clock first touches. 6:30, it's Clarksville Northeast at Clarksville Northwest, a little rivalry right there. It's going to be Richland at Cullioca, also a 6:30 district matchup right there. Springfield making the trip up to Lafayette at Macon County at 6:30. 7 p.m. first touch for Battle Creek at Columbia. As you mentioned, Mo is going to be on the sidelines right there. Rossview at Dixon County, that is a 7:30 start. 7 p.m. starts for Kirkwood at Fairview, Brentwood at Franklin, Station Camp at Hendersonville, and some district action there. Siegel at Oakland, 7 p.m. as well. Independence at Page. Greenwood, Kentucky at Pope John Paul II, 7 p.m. Blackman at Rockville, Shelbyville at Stewart's Creek, Centennial at Summit, and Merrill Hyde at White House. All 7 p.m. starts there. In Major League Baseball tonight, no Braves, but the Astros will conclude their 3-game set down in Houston against the Yankees. That is a 6:40 first pitch on the MLB Network. In the W tonight, it's the Phoenix Mercury at the Washington Mystics. That is a 6:30 first tip on Amazon Prime. Minnesota Lynx at the Las Vegas Aces should be a really good one. 9 o'clock, I'm sure Mo will tune in when he gets home on Amazon right there. And it's the Dallas Wings at the Golden State Valkyries at 9 p.m. And then obviously tonight, the NFL season gets underway. So I believe it's 7:15 kickoff up at the link between the Dallas Cowboys and the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. You can find that one on NBC. Ladies and gentlemen, those were your scores from last night, and that was today's schedule. And that concludes the rundown.
Your top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. And as we've mentioned, Philadelphia taking on Dallas in the NFL regular season opener tonight up at the link. And this apparently had the opportunity to be really, really interesting. Spicy, maybe, would be the best way to put it. NFL beat writer Adam Schefter reporting that the Philadelphia Eagles made a strong play for Micah Parsons once the Cowboys began entertaining trade offers. And I mean, you can't really blame the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they were able to get Saquon Barkley from a division rival last year, the New York Giants. So, hey, if it worked once, it'll work again, right? Well, Jerry Jones is crazy, but he ain't that crazy, I guess. We're only going to play this guy once a year. We're not getting into a situation where we got to face Micah Parsons twice every year. So, Jerry said, thanks, no, sent Parsons to Green Bay instead. And Philadelphia's like, it's okay. We're still the Super Bowl champs. It's all good. But how wild would that have been?
That would have been wild just because he's a Pennsylvania boy. Obviously went to Penn State, grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia, but has been, as he's kind of mentioned, a Cowboys fan since birth. That was the team that he wanted to draft him, but that would have been wild. I know, I think we both thought, Mo, the back problems that he's been having could have been solved by some monetary, financial gain. Well, it is kind of turned out that he has actually been dealing with the back injury and, might need to get injections to play. But, there's been some word, or will he play in the primetime window on Sunday when the Packers host the Lions at Lambeau at 3:25? But I would have made you this promise that if he was on the Eagles, he definitely would have been playing tonight. And you could probably count maybe the record for sacks of him trying to get after his former quarterback in Dak Prescott.
Yeah, he's like, shoot me up, man. Whatever it takes, I'm out there. And yeah, it's probably in everybody's best interest, except the Eagles, that didn't come off. But man, that really makes your mind wander. Again, Super Bowl champs adding one of the premier pass rushers in the game to their defense. But the biggest, like I said earlier, I'm really wondering what Dallas's defense is going to look like tonight, just from the standpoint that they've not had a chance to go out in a competitive situation because of the timing of that deal about almost a week ago. Basically, it was right after we went off the air last week, David. So they've not been in a competitive situation without Micah Parsons, with their first unit on defense. And there's got to be some questions as to what that's going to look like when they go out there tonight.
I mean, there was one thing that we all knew in just watching the Cowboys last year. I mean, they're America's team per se, and so they come on national television a lot. They get a lot of scrutiny. The one thing they couldn't do was stop the run last year. It seems like teams were running at will against them. And, the Philadelphia Eagles, what their formula is, not only with that offensive line that they have with the tush push, but with Saquon Barkley, who is one of the premier dynamic running backs in the league, a running quarterback, in Jalen Hurts, who can hurt you with his legs. I would have the idea that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to come out and try to run the football against the Dallas defense that was really poor last year. Now they add Kenny Clark over from Green Bay in that trade. How many snaps will he take? We'll see. But he can help solve kind of the middle of that defense. But, they weren't able to stop the run last year. There's rumors out there, will they even be able to stop the pass? That defense was really porous, as I mentioned, and they really in the offseason did not do a bunch to upgrade the positions on the outside. So it just feels like, it's ring night for Philadelphia, playing their division rival, and you have a feeling that they're going to want to put it on them tonight. And it seems like this is one of those games where it could get ugly pretty quickly. I think we feel more sure about the Dallas offense than their defense. But, with Philadelphia, they can run the football, and we've seen them control the clock so well in some of these games that they can just keep you off the field. And so and that Philadelphia defense with Cooper DeJean in the back end, they're pretty good too. So it might get ugly for Big D.
Don't forget Reed Blankenship on the back end of that defense for Philadelphia, former MTSU
boy.
Yep, come on now. Come on.
So they can make plays. They're opportunistic back there.
Yeah. You mentioned their run defense problems, Dallas's from last year, and Jerry Jones tried to paint this as kind of an addition by subtraction situation in the days after this Micah Parsons trade, that this is going to make us better against the run. Now, and maybe I don't know. I just don't know how taking a guy like that out of your mix has the opportunity to make you better. But and I feel like a lot of that is just window dressing on Jerry Jones's part in trying to make this trade a little bit more palatable. He is an elite pass rusher. Maybe his run stopping ability was a little subpar, relatively speaking. But again, I'm interested to see what this whole thing looks like without number 11 out there on the edge for Dallas. And we will start to see that tonight. So next man up, obviously. A lot of eyes going to be on whoever steps into that role that was previously filled by, like you said, the former Penn State standout. So the world will be watching here on Thursday night on NBC. Looking forward to that one as the NFL gets started tonight. Let's take a break here as we continue Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we'll get into Coach's Corner with the KRIESKY twins, Matt and Will, ahead of BLACKMAN and Riverdale tomorrow night. Stick around.
All-new Sportsbook, the latest gaming machines, live horse racing, and more. The Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs. Winning just got closer.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need...
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
333.
Busy bee.
Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now
busy
ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's David Wilson. I'm Maurice Patton. It is time for Coach's Corner as we welcome in, again, not one, but two KRIESKYs. Will of Blackman. I'm sorry, Will of Riverdale.
Yes.
Matt of Blackman. See, screwed it up already. Guys, appreciate y'all taking some time with us. And Mark, thanks for putting their names under them because I wouldn't know which one was which otherwise. But guys, obviously this is a big matchup and big for you guys personally as well as professionally. How many times is this that y'all have played each other as head coaches?
Matt may know the answer to that. I know we played a couple times at Centennial and in the last, 3 games?
Matt?
Is it Mike messed up?
Have we got Matt?
Yeah, I see him.
Are you muted? Is he muted?
No, he's not muted.
He's not muted? He's talking, but we can't hear him. Yeah. That's not good. Mama KRIESKY ain't gonna be too happy about this.
No, she won't. We played twice when he was at Centennial, and then we played the last. We played last 2 years at him at Blackman, and then we played in the playoff game last year.
The playoffs.
Yes,
little up the ante just a little bit with that one, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Last year it was it was a little stressful, and I mean they're all stressful. I mean, anytime you play, not only Blackman, I mean Riverdale Blackman's been a big rivalry for many years, and now you add this component in there, and it's tough. It's a tough week for both of us. We go with twins. We're used to talking to each other every single day, and this week we don't talk as much as we do every other week in the year.
I was wondering about that, how that goes, because obviously y'all are twins, you're close, but I didn't know if you guys just muted each other or ignored each other or how that went and when that started up this week. Was that Sunday? Was it Monday? Was it last Friday night? When do y'all kind of go on quiet?
It kind of started last Friday night, and stuff. And we do the normal talk you have with another head coach throughout the week, trying to get everything situated, trying to make sure they're taken care of and they know where the visitor locker room and things like that. But it's just been the normal, hey, how many tickets you need, how many comp tickets you need, and things like that. It's just a basic conversation. It's not, hey, how was your day? Did you have a good practice? None of that is shared throughout this week.
So we're not talking about who's hurt and who's suspended and that kind of thing then, huh?
Exactly. None of that is talk, and stuff, especially, with the Riverdale Blackman, it's even intensified, I mean, because it's big for both communities. And, both, Matt, I believe personally, after evaluating film, this is the best team Matt's had as him as being a head coach. I know he had some really good teams at Centennial in his early years, but I feel like this is overall, this is probably one of the best teams he's had.
Matt and Will KRIESKY joining us here on Coach's Corner. And Matt, you having any luck?
It looks like he's looking at his computer very hard.
He looks like he's looking at his computer real hard. In the meantime, though, Will, David wanted to weigh in with something for you.
Yeah, well, as we kind of wait on Matt, I want to ask you about your quarterback. Obviously, Gavin Hampton Had a really good week last week against Father Ryan. You guys beat the Fighting Irish 35-0. Just kind of talk to me. Obviously, he's a young guy that's working his way, learning, I guess, what we call big boy football here in 6A. Kind of give me your thoughts on his growth through the first 2 weeks and, how he's improved and kind of met the expectations that you're looking for from him.
What we do offensively is complex, and he just needs reps, and that's what we don't get to pick our region schedule. And, you don't want to play Blackman week 3, you want to make sure you're Willie tested and ready to go by the time you play Blackman. But, that's the way it falls, and we got to be ready. And he's done a good job each week getting better. I think more reps he gets, the more game time he gets, he'll keep improving. He's on Barnes' right side all the time and learning and trying to pick up things. And like you said, 2 weeks ago was his first start that he had. It's the first start he's ever had in varsity football. So he's getting there, but he's not all the way where he needs to be yet.
Matt, it sounds like we might have you. Are you there?
I think so. I think Riverdale did something to my system over here where my computer wouldn't work. They're already trying to start some stuff. It's not even Friday yet.
We were able to tap in their weight room, and we got their Wi-Fi signal.
Hey, you're the home team, though, Matt. You ought to have all that locked down, man.
No, actually, we're traveling to Riverdale this week.
Okay. Well, never mind then. At any rate, Matt, you got to be pleased, and Will was kind of talking about the way you guys have started out 2-0 with a couple of big victories, going up to Clarksville, picking up a big one, and then down in Cane Ridge this past weekend. Just talk about what you guys have got going on at this point, 2-0.
This is our third year here. I think the guys are starting to feel, more comfortable with this and how things are and ran. So it's been pretty good so far. Like I've told them all week, this is the biggest test we've got that we've had all season. So it's huge for us. So these guys are going to be ready to play, and we got to have a mistake-free ball game. We're currently, since being here, we're 0-3 against Riverdale, so it's a huge game for us.
Now, obviously, that 0-3 is tough for Blackman. It's got to be a little tough in this sibling rivalry as well. I mean, how much does Will remind you about that kind of thing?
I don't think it's more Will. I think it's more of his son and my son.
Yeah. Me and Matt don't seriously. We don't do the trash talking. It's the kids. The kids trash talk us more than anything.
That kind of makes sense because they don't necessarily have as much skin in the game necessarily, I don't guess.
Exactly. They don't have the parents and the fans breathing down their neck either.
There you go. Matt and Will KRIESKY joining us here on Coach's Corner as we get ready for Blackman at Riverdale this weekend. High-powered matchup again. Blackman coming in at 2-0, but 0-3 in this matchup since these two have been at the top of their program. Riverdale coming off a 35-0 win over Father Ryan after opening the season with a 20-6 loss against Knoxville Catholic. Will, real quick, I didn't realize Knoxville Catholic had that kind of firepower. I mean, was that a fluke, or are they legit? Just out of curiosity.
No, I think they're a really good team. We all know Coach Chet Owens and what he's done in the past here at Smyrna and the teams he's built. They were fortunate enough to get couple of linemen from Webb that is big and physical up front. Then they have two really good running backs that can run. And then also they got Tyreek King, man. Tyreek King, I think, is one of the top receivers in the state. He's a 5-star going to Tennessee. And, Tyreek King reminded me of some kids that we've seen here in the past that could play. I think they're the real deal. They got after Anderson County last week, so that shows that it wasn't a fluke.
Matt, I'm going to jump to you really quickly. I asked your brother Will about his quarterback, and I would be remiss not to ask about yours. Javion Elliott had a really good, showcase in the first game of the year up at Clarksville. Continued that last week against Cane Ridge. Kind of talk to me about your quarterback, what he does that makes him special, and what he can kind of do tomorrow to be a difference maker in the game for you guys.
One thing about Javion, he's a relaxed player. He doesn't let anything rattle him and get him worked up. And he laughs all the time because he knows that's the opposite of me. And I think it's pretty neat for me and him working together and because we started off slow at Clarksville. We had they scored on a 77-yard touchdown run, And then our first possession on offense, we had 2 bad snaps. He came to the sideline. He had a smile on his face. He said, "Coach, we got this. Just calm down. Everything's going to be fine." And he handled it well. He was able to do some things in the game that really helped us out. We're fortunate. He's got some really good receivers. We got some young guys playing at receivers, and we also got some older guys with experience. He got like Brylan O'Dore, been leading the way. Kari Dixon. So we've got plenty of guys that also help him out. And his ability to scramble has also helped us offensively.
Coach, excuse me, Matt, what is it like when a kid comes to you in that situation and says, "Chill, we got this," and everything that's in you is saying, "No, we don't"? I mean, how do you handle that situation?
To be honest, man, it's really helped me out. Just seeing him and just the way he plays, because as the game goes on, I feel like Javion gets more comfortable. Once he kind of feels like how the things are going in the game and the flow of the game, he gets better as the game goes on. And so, me as a coach, I don't need to get him worked up and get him rattled. That's the worst thing I can do. So I just kind of, I've learned him and learned his ways and kind of just sit back and let him do his thing. And he's done a great job. Against Cane Ridge at halftime, it was 14-6. And he came in at halftime, told me some things that he saw and some things that he thought we should do offensively. But we made some adjustments, and then he made some plays with his feet. We were able to come out and, with the victory of 42-6.
Obviously neither one of y'all wants to give out any state secrets or anything, but for each of you, what do you feel like, to the extent that you can discuss it, is the key to either Blackman breaking through tomorrow night or to Riverdale continuing this hold over the Blaze?
Matt, you go ahead.
Really, we got to play mistake-free football. And play Blackman football. Limit the penalties. I think both games we've had a lot of excess penalties that shouldn't have happened. We got to continue to play well on defense. And we got to be ready to play. They're not intimidated of us. We're coming in with that 0-3 record, so I don't think there's an intimidation factor with it, even though we're 2-0. So we've got to be ready to play and just show up. I feel like in previous years, I don't know if we fully showed up and played up to our capabilities. So we're hoping to do that tomorrow night.
It's a battle. Anytime you play Blackman, I mean, this is going to my 10th season, and every game we play with Blackman's been back and forth. And again, like Matt just stressed, one, you got to play special teams. They do a phenomenal job. Malik Holman on his staff does an excellent job on special teams, and our guys got to play mistake free on special teams, and that's where they can get you. Last year they were able to do some things against the special teams wise that hurt us. And I felt like they got an advantage on us. So we got to be really sharp at special teams this week and not make any mistakes. And we got to protect the football. The first game we had 4 turnovers on offense, and we saw the outcome of that. So we have to be able to protect the football. Also, we went in the first game. We went in the fourth quarter with 6 penalties and finished the game with 12 penalties. So again, that killed us. We had a chance to tie the game against Knox Catholic, but a touchdown got called back due to a penalty. We can't do it. We can't have any self-inflicted wounds on Friday, and we got to be able to keep our composure. It's brother Rob with me and my brother are very intense and very competitive, and our players feed off that. Our players take upon them to be like their head coaches, and so both teams are very fiery and competitive. But with both teams, neither one of us can have bad penalties by self-destructing and personal fouls and things like that. We just got to line up and play between the whistles.
Coaches, Will and Matt, this is one for both of you as well. Feel free to pick which one goes first. You guys play in one of the most talented and deeper regions in the Mid-State. There's no Friday nights off when you play in the Murfreesboro area in Rutherford County. How maybe important is it for you guys? And this is just going back to tomorrow night. Important for you guys to get off to a good start in region play and start 1-0 and get that right foot going forward.
Well, I'll go ahead. I tell my kids all year, our playoffs in this region start early. So you got to be one of the top 4 teams to make the playoffs. In this region where we're at, it starts with week 3 for us. So this is very important. We got region play this week. It's huge for every area of the team. As you mentioned, Rutherford County has some great football. So if you want to see some good football on Friday night, come to a stadium in Rutherford County, and you're going to see some good football. So it's tough. This region is tough, but I think all the coaches in the region have embraced it. And that's what they like to see, the competition and the brand of Rutherford County football. So here for us in this region, man, this playoff start in week 3.
Yeah, I could say the same thing what Matt just said. It's big football. I preach to my kids all week. This is the type of atmosphere you grow up. This is when you're a little kid and see stuff like you want to be a part of the atmospheres when two Rutherford County teams play. Matt and I was very fortunate to be ball boys back in the day in Henry County when James Counts got them rolling, and we were able to see all the support that people in Henry County gave us. And I was bragging to I had one of my former teammates come to Father Ryan game last week. And the best thing he said to me was like, this atmosphere reminds me of Henry County. It's just as good, if not better. And that's what Rutherford County produces. Not only good football programs and good programs, good games. They produce a good atmosphere for these kids, man. And Friday night when Blackman comes over here, they're going to have their stands packed. They're going to be lined up around the fence. Riverdale people are going to be lined up around the fence. And it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be what these kids, dream of playing. This is going to be some of their biggest highlights of their life. They'll remember, and they're going to talk about this game for a long time. And being a part of this region, like Matt said, you just embrace it. Because you don't want to play a region, go 10-0 every year without any competition. Every week you got to prepare. Every week if you don't pay attention to the details and the little things, then you're gonna get beat. And if you overlook anybody in this region, you'll get beat. So it's tough, it's stressful, but again, it's challenging. And as a competitor, that's what you like to see.
Will, when this Blackman job came open a few years ago, and Matt threw in for it, what are you thinking as far as the possibility of having to face your twin every year in these type situations like you're going to face tomorrow night?
Yeah, it was tough. It came open, and I didn't. Obviously we talked about it, and I was like, Matt, that's the best job in the county. They got good zones. They got good fan base. Blackman has one of the top fan bases. I really believe that Riverdale and Blackman are one of the top 2 fan bases. Yeah, Oakland, and they're unbelievable. But I think that, if you see year in and year out the fan bases that Riverdale and Blackman have, they're loyal and they come around. And so when that job come open, I said, man, I don't want to do it. I don't want you to do it. But I mean, because Matt's the 4th head coach. This is my 10th season, and Matt's the 4th head coach in my era as a head coach at Blackman. So, Blackman needs, unfortunately, I don't want him to have stability there. But I believe if they get stability there, they're going to be one of the top programs, if not the program in the state, because that's just what they've been missing. Those kids have been missing that stability, and it's tough. And yeah, we didn't. I mean, obviously, I didn't want to play him, and I knew what type of team he'd build. He's going to build a physical team that's going to come at you, going to hit you in the mouth, and these teams aren't going to be scared, and they're going to be very well prepared. But again, as a competitor, you want to see that. You don't just want to just roll the ball out there and play somebody just to get a win. And I knew he could build something off that. And I knew that he could help keep promoting this county the way it needs to be promoted.
There you go. The KRIESKY twins, Matt at Blackman, Will at Riverdale. The 2 will be squaring off Warrior Drive tomorrow night. Guys, we appreciate y'all taking some time with us. Let me ask you. Will, you said Mama KRIESKY wanted to tune in. Now, how will she be decked out tomorrow night?
She just wears a plain T-shirt. She doesn't wear anything that represents Riverdale or Blackman. I think maybe she might have a Riverdale shirt on and a Blackman hat on. It's tough for her. It's something that she don't like to do and like to see. And she knows how competitive we are. Like somebody wrote in the paper when we were kids, me and Matt were playing a card game. He got mad. I beat him. And he threw a shoe at me, and I ducked and it went through the window. And so we had to spend our Christmas money repairing the window for my dad, So, she knows the type of competitors are. And the only thing she said all week is, can y'all be nice to each other? Can y'all be nice to each other? And, we're nice to each other until 7 o'clock kicks off. He's a Blackman guy, and I'm a Riverdale guy, and we're both fighting hard for our teams to get the win.
Matt, how hard has it been for y'all to be nice to each other?
Oh, it's been fine. It is what it is. It's about our kids. Getting our kids prepared, ready for Friday night at 7. you know, it's fun. It's fun. It's not only, you know, it adds a little extra to the game, but, you know, his kids are excited. Our kids are excited. It's going to be a great night of high school football.
Guys, we appreciate y'all taking some time with us again. Blackman Riverdale tomorrow night, highlighting our week 3 schedule across Middle Tennessee. The KRIESKY twins here on Coach's Corner. Thanks, y'all. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Hey, before we bounce out of this segment here on Throwback Thursday, let's give you our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week. Besides the military, there is no more important or effective team building activity than athletics. Custom Stone Handlers invites you to get in the game, and our team of the week this week is the Battle Creek girls soccer team. The Grizzlies on the pitch won 3 matches last week. They won 4-1 against Culleoka. They defeated Lawrence County 5-2, and they won 6-3 at Columbia Academy, improving their record to 4-0. They've got a big match tonight out at Ridley Park against Columbia Central, which is also unbeaten. But the Battle Creek Lady Grizzlies soccer team is our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week. Our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Southern Middle Tennessee Athlete of the Week is Columbia Central sophomore Jamari Brown, receiver/cornerback. 5 touches last week against Battle Creek. All 5 of them wound up in the end zone. 3 catches for scores of 60, 12, and 56 yards, a 41-yard pick six, and a 40-yard interception return for a touchdown that was negated by an illegal block. So, again, 5 touches, all wound up in the end zone. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that. Jamari Brown of Columbia Central, our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Southern Middle Tennessee Athlete of the Week. Again, congratulations to him. Congratulations to the Battle Creek girls soccer team, our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week. Let's take a break here as we continue Throwback Thursday. When we come back, we'll talk a little baseball.
Columbia Power and Water Systems is dedicated to bringing our customers reliable local service. Whether you're turning on a light switch, your faucet, or streaming on TV, our dedicated team members from here in Murray County work every day to keep you on. If you need us, call us 931-388-4833 or visit cpws.com. CPWS, local service, local support.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
September 4th, 1928, the Boston Braves were swept by the visiting Brooklyn Robins in a doubleheader, 3-2 in 10 innings and 9-2. It was the first in a stretch of 9 consecutive twin bills for the Braves, though they also had 3 off days. Still, a dismal stretch as Boston won just 4 games, sweeping Brooklyn on September 5th and dropping 10 straight between a September 7th split at Philadelphia and one with the Cubs on September 15th. Boston, which opened the stretch with back-to-back doubleheaders on August 31st and September 1st versus the Phillies, finished the year a tired 50-103. That was this day in Braves history. Wasn't a doubleheader, and they didn't lose. Atlanta 5, Chicago 1 to avoid a sweep at Wrigley Field this week. Atlanta improving to 63 and 77 with the late outburst. Chicago falling to 80 and 60 with that loss. Atlanta had given up the 1 run on a basically a throwing error by Eli White in right field, set it up. And when Bryce Elder had every opportunity to kind of cave, he didn't. He gave up that one unearned run, but otherwise he was nails. 6 strikeouts over 7 innings, and then the bullpen held up. And Ha-Seong Kim introduced himself. Braves was runners at first and third in the 7th inning, and I remember specifically Brandon Gaulden said, "Kim with a chance to tie this thing up right here," and I just kind of said, "Or more." And before I could get it out of my mouth, Kim launches one into the left field seats there at Wrigley to make it a 3-1 game, and they scored another one. A 3-run game because it was 1-0 at that point. They scored another one that inning. Ozzie homers in the 8th, and you get the 5-1 final. I don't know when the last time was the Braves got a home run from both their middle infielders, but I can tell you that was the first Braves home run by a shortstop this year, and the first time since September of last year when it was the oft-maligned Orlando Arcia hitting one for the Braves. So we finally have a shortstop, David, who can leave the yard.
Yeah, and this is something that Calvin and I discussed yesterday. Obviously, Mo, this is the first day this week for you, I believe, on Main Street Sports Today. The risk that the Braves, it was something that they needed to take with Ha-Seong Kim. Obviously, he signed a free agent deal this offseason. He was hurt for a majority of that time period, but it gives the Braves a shortstop option for the future. They'll pay him roughly $2 million for the rest of this season, and he has a $16 million player option for next. And I think this was the Braves looking at the shortstop market this offseason. Bo Bichette has probably priced himself out of the Braves' comfort zone. There are some people in Major League Baseball that still question whether or not shortstop is his fit moving forward. And so with the lack of, depth or quality pieces, whatever you want to say at the shortstop position, this was a risk that the Braves thought they were willing to take. And it helps solidifies, what they want to do for next season. Ha-Seong Kim is a Gold Glover in the past, and obviously he has a little bit more power than Nick Allen. And he can run as well. He can do some things that you like. That he can be a piece when this offense is humming and fully healthy. He can be a piece that can help you get over the top. Obviously, we've seen him do that with San Diego on playoff teams in the past. So, I like the move. It helps, kind of solidify that shortstop position, puts Nick Allen in a backup role where, you can have him if you want his glove per se. But the Braves had to make a move at shortstop at some point, and this was them doing that. So the offseason got started a little early.
Well, I mean, Anthopoulos said at the All-Star break basically that the offseason has started, and they've made some moves. They've thrown some stuff against the wall and saw what would stick. Eric Fetty didn't. Joey Wentz might. Some different things. They've kind of brought some pieces in that were as much to get them through 2025 as to get an early look for 2026. And I might be looking at it through Braves colored glasses, but I still don't think this team is that far away. Once you get some people healthy and that kind of thing, Chris Sale is going to start tomorrow against Seattle. He looked really good in his first start back out. And, it just doesn't feel like this team is that far away. But one of the concerns over this offseason was shortstop. And, Nick Allen is a fantastic glove, but you did not feel like offensively he necessarily addressed any of your concerns as far as that went. And, to your point, when this offense is humming and when everybody is healthy, you could probably get away with Nick Allen in the number 9 spot, making every play defensively. But again, this year, that hasn't been the case. The Braves haven't had any margin for error offensively, and you can't afford a great glove, no stick guy like a Nick Allen. And you see what happens. And I mean, I don't know that having Ha-Seong Kim all year necessarily addresses every woe that this team has had this year, but they've been in a lot of one-run ball games.
Yeah, 34 of them, I believe. And so, I mean, the Braves shortstop position had the lowest OPS in all of Major League Baseball. That's all you needed to know. And for a team that in the past had been built on slugging and hitting home runs, the Braves really haven't done that this year. So, and with the pitching being as injured as it was, they needed to bang and to have some runs being scored, and they just couldn't do that. And Mo, that's what's crazy is for as bad as this season has been and felt, let's say you reverse their one run record, and the Braves are a playoff team. Just a run here, a run there, and the script on this season is completely different, even with all the injuries that they face. So they're not that far away, but you also have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, we have to still be willing to change and to adapt our team. Last thing on the Braves for me, Mo, Raisel Iglesias was named the NL Reliever of the Month. How many teams right now that are looking for bullpen help in the playoff mix wish that they picked up the phone and gave up a little bit more for a guy like that to be a part of their bullpen for the stretch run?
They mentioned on the broadcast last night, he has been reliever of the month in the National League the last 3 Augusts. So to your point, it feels like there are a few GMs that were kind of derelict in their duties as far as that went. But 13 appearances in August, 10 saves on this team in this economy. How, getting 10 saves on this team in any month, when you look at the way this season has gone, is a feat. I mean, and so again, yeah, maybe some folks missed out, but maybe the Braves got lucky too. Again, they open a homestand tomorrow night against Seattle. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Wade's Houston Astros scored 4 runs in the 8th to rally for an 8-7 victory over the New York Yankees. Houston improving to 77-63 with that win. The Yankees 77-62 with the loss. Houston is up 4 in the AL West over the Mariners. Those two teams go at it again tonight at 6:40. It's Carlos Rodon and Christian Javier getting the starts for the Yankees and the Astros in that one.
Really quickly, Mo, close your eyes. Who's the best team in the American League? That's the biggest question right now. Nobody wants anything in the American League. It's so wide open.
Mean, it feels like you could throw Detroit. I still think Houston is in that mix. Wade would probably tell you otherwise. Boston and New York in a bag, and draw anybody out and be accurate in answering that question. I still feel like Detroit's got Skubal and nobody else does. And I kind of feel like that's the difference, even though he can only go every 5th day. It just feels like Detroit on a day in, day out basis. And to your point, everybody has struggled at some point. I saw something on the internet earlier today. You take a look at any team that has postseason designs right now, and they have all had skids, some losing 8 of 12 or losing 9 of 10 or something like that. Everybody has had their flaws over the course of this season, which kind of tells you that this postseason is going to be wild.
That's what we live for, though.
Yeah, there you go. And
only the Braves were in it. It just makes me mad again.
It'll be interesting to watch from strictly, just for the entertainment of watching, because we won't have a dog in that hunt. Milwaukee 6, Philadelphia 3 last night. Milwaukee with that win and Chicago's loss extends their lead in the NL Central to 6 games. The aforementioned Tigers defeated the Mets 6-2. Philadelphia is up 5.5 games in the NL East with the Mets losing. The Dodgers with a 2.5 game in the NL West, but they have lost, I think they've lost 2 to Pittsburgh, and the Pirates going for the sweep today. The Dodgers have lost 4 of their last 5 now, but San Diego can't take advantage, losing to Baltimore 7-5 yesterday. So again, Dodgers 2.5 up in the West. The West is going to be interesting right to the end, feels like. And you wouldn't have expected that, obviously. The Dodgers, your defending World Series champ, spent all sorts of money over the offseason, but you can't buy off injuries, huh?
I feel like they can be got. And what I mean by that is I think we all, and I'm going to knock on wood, I'm not going to hate on the mid-state native, but I don't like the Dodgers. Sorry, TB. Mookie Betts has not had the season that he has wanted. Freddie Freeman had been hurt early in the season. Ohtani's doing Ohtani things. Their bullpen has been injured all year long. Their starting pitching has been injured. So they feel like they can be got in a short series. It also feels like they can get you. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if they're a matchup I would want to have.
Right.
But certain teams line up really well with them. We saw what Milwaukee was able to do to them up in American Family Field earlier this summer. So certain teams line up really well against the Dodgers and others don't. Simple as that.
This might just be one of those lost years for Mookie. I mean, the way it started, wasn't able to go overseas for that season opening series, had some health issues going on there, and has relatively, for Mookie, struggled this year. Did not make the All-Star team. It's just not been a great year for him. And much as we hate to say that about the local, still love Mookie, it's just been a tough go this time around. And you bets believe he'll be back with a vengeance in 2026. The Nashville Sounds pick up another shutout, 4-0 up at Norfolk yesterday. Finally getting over 500 in the second half of the season with their 6th straight victory. So big win for the Sounds. Got a combined 13 strikeouts in that shutout from Robert Gasser and Bruce Zimmerman. The Sounds have an International League leading 15 shutouts this season. Quick, tell me, what is Milwaukee's farm system based on? Pitching, apparently. Those 15 shutouts this year set a new franchise record for the Sounds. The previous record of 14 was set by the 1989 Sounds, who were a Class AA Southern League affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. So if you like good pitching, get out to First Horizon. They will be back in town starting on Tuesday. They had an 11:05 start today. That game probably close to being over with. We'll try to get you a result when we come back.
That series next week is the last one of the regular season at home here at First Horizon Park. They're playing Wades and Eyes, Atlanta Braves AAA affiliate, the Gwinnett Stripers. So might be good for those of you that are looking for some good weather, some good baseball, see some good pitching. The Braves have J.R. Ritchie down at Gwinnett, who's pitched really well. So if you want to see some good pitching, I know we like the long ball and chicks dig it, but good pitching is good for it too. So should be a good one next week at First Horizon as the Sounds wrap up their regular season home slate.
There we go. Let's take a break here as we close out hour number 1 of Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, we will get into our Throwback Thursday segment as we throw it back to a recent conversation we had with Willie G. Ramirez talking a little WNBA. Stick around. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Is your internet slowing you down? It's time for an upgrade. Whether you're at home, working from your home office, or at your business, it's time to unleash the speed you need with speeds up to 1 gig at CPWS for as low as $70 a month. Give us a call, 931-375-7777. Local service, local support, CPWS.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. How's it going?
Well, I'm not sure. We're going to find out, I guess.
How's
Willie,
that humidity down in Tennessee?
You know, right now, Willie, it's not too bad. It's unseasonably cool, actually, and they call it fake fall, and we're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop because it is still August 29th, and it's been alarmingly pleasant. So
it's been humid here the past week, and I don't like it. So
well,
I'm not a fan of humidity, so they can have it back and bring on the cold weather. The colder, the better for me.
So you'll take 110 as long as there's no humidity, is what you're saying, right?
I'll take dry heat over humid heat anytime.
Well, I'm not going to go with you on the cold, but that humidity can get a little rough sometimes. Nobody's been hotter than the Aces here recently.
That's for sure.
How do you boil it down? What's been the difference for them over this 12-game win streak and what they had done to that point, Willie?
You know, it's tough to really pinpoint any one thing. I'm not sure that you can, and I'm not sure it's fair to give one intangible credit over another because let's go back to when the Minnesota Lynx came to Las Vegas. It was the night that Napisa Collier injured her ankle because Cheryl Reeve felt that a 42-point lead with 10 seconds left in the third quarter meant that the game was not in hand and that the Aces could come back. So she continued to play her MVP candidate. But Asia Wilson the next day sent a text message to her teammates saying, if you're not with what we're trying to do and you're not on the same page, don't bother showing up to the facility anymore. We don't even want you here. And that went out to every single teammate, including Chelsea Gray, Jewel Lloyd, Jackie Young. So you're talking about, franchise players, faces of this franchise behind Asia or right along with her. And then two ring holders and Kia Stokes and Kirsten Bell, and then down the line. And all of a sudden they started showing up and playing. They've won 12 in a row since. It's tied a franchise record. And you can point to a number of things. Asia Wilson has gone off, yes. Chelsea Gray has turned her game around from where she was averaging less than 5 assists a game to now where she's averaging more than 7. I asked her about it personally in a post-game press conference. She said, no, that's y'all overthinking things. Nothing's changed. But then Becky Hammond followed up and said, she wasn't herself earlier this season. Now she's more being the Chelsea Gray that we're used to. Jewel Lloyd went to Becky Hammond earlier this season and asked to come off the bench. Becky said, let's hold off on that. She was reluctant. She finally agreed to it. Since then, those numbers have increased. Jewel Lloyd now spends the first 5.5, 6 minutes on the bench, and then she comes off. It gives Jackie Young a chance to get fluid, get her in motion, and make her the option for Chelsea Gray to go to if she's going to drive and kick, or if she's going to dump to Asia, she goes to Jackie. Instead of trying to figure out which one has the hot hand, Jewel can come in once Jackie's in her flow, and Jewel's been just fine with it. Then you got Dana Evans coming off the bench, and she's arguably played herself into 6th player of the year. I don't know if there's enough time for her to get in the mix. She might get some votes, but she's been fantastic off the bench for the Aces. So collectively, Asia's been doing what she's been doing. It's sort of been overshadowed by Nafisa Collier through that game here in Las Vegas. Asia's been the one holding the team together. But now you have Asia continuing to do what she's doing and even more. And why is she able to do more? Because of the arrival of Nalissa Smith. Nalissa Smith comes in and helps in the paint, takes some pressure off, and now you see Asia scoring 30 points like it's nothing. So I think it's a collective of intangibles that have come together to create this monster that nobody can beat right now. And the big showdown is September 4th at T-Mobile Arena when the Minnesota Lynx return to Las Vegas to face the Aces, who will most certainly be looking for revenge while also trying to maintain the number 2 seed in the WNBA.
Willie, you paint that picture. I mean, it is just wild to think about. The Aces were kind of teetering. I mean, we were whispering, this team may not make the playoffs, and they go from the 8th spot. They're just skyrocketing right now.
They went from the 9th spot, Wade.
Yeah,
they were out of the playoffs.
Out of the picture, and you at least me, I'm starting to wonder, long term, I'm trying to figure out, what are the next steps? Do you maybe really blow this thing up, things that? But they've absolutely pivoted. They've turned things around. You just set that up, though, Willie. Is it a good thing or bad thing they have a whole week, or they had a whole week and a day, basically, between that victory at Atlanta before that massive showdown next Thursday versus Minnesota in your mind?
Well, you might, it's easy to say, well, do they really want to have a week off because then you lose momentum? But here's the thing. They definitely needed 2 days off, yesterday and today, because they had played 8 games over 16 days, including a 3-game road trip. Plus, at the beginning of that stretch, they were on the road. So they played, they've been playing extensively, and they are tired, and they need some rest, and they need to recuperate. The good thing is that they stayed healthy through that run, and they're getting Cheyenne Parker-Tai is back. It looks like she'll be ready to go in time for that game, which adds even more presence in the paint if she comes back before the end of the regular season and in time for the playoffs. So I think overall it'll probably be a good thing. And really what it can go down to is those text messages that Asia Wilson sent out in terms of sending that message, because at this point, that team's not going to go back to the way that they were playing. If anything, they're going to start taking, they get back in action tomorrow as far as the facility. I'll be out there for practice the next couple of days to see the intensity rise. And I think that's, it's something that they've actually been doing in practice. Becky was frustrated because she said, I'm seeing it in practice. I know this team is capable of doing it. We're just not putting it together in games. Now they're putting it together in games. So I don't think that there's going to be a problem, Wade, in terms of finding the motivation, thanks to that 53-point whooping that the Lynx put on them. Now, let's say that the Lynx won a tough one, or the Aces squeaked one out, and now they're creeping toward it. But the fact that people keep calling Minnesota's 53-point win in Las Vegas the best road win in WNBA history, but that only means one thing. It was also the worst home loss for a team in WNBA history. So the Aces now have that on their heads. It's going to be a long time before somebody wins by 53 points, even against a team like Connecticut or Chicago this season. Yeah. So guess who's going to go into the record books for quite some time? That's something that Asia Wilson doesn't want, and unfortunately it's going to stick.
That's former Middle Tennessee State standout Cheyenne Parker-Tai, by the way, that you referenced just a second ago, Willie. So always good.
Backwards. Did I say it backwards?
No. You said it right.
Okay.
No, you're fine. With that said, Willie, it kind of feels like the Aces have the number 2 seed on lock, or are pretty close to doing so. But you've got a logjam at 2 through 5 between the Aces, the Dream, who every time I watch them, it feels like they're blowing a lead in the second half, the Mercury, and the Liberty. Somebody's going to be a road team for the quarterfinals. Who doesn't make the top 4 out of that 4?
It's really tough to call. I can't. I'm not going to put my finger on it, but the Liberty are getting healthy. Izzy Harrison's due back. Brianna Stewart's now back in the lineup. Phoenix has a legitimate bona fide MVP candidate in Alyssa Thomas. I think the Aces have a favorable schedule with 3 games at home. You know, Minnesota's their toughest opponent, and then they host Chicago back-to-back at T-Mobile Arena, and then they go to L.A. Now, the Sparks always give them a run for the money, and I can tell you this, that could be a game that holds playoff implications because the Sparks are fighting for that 8 seed. So that game being in L.A., Dearica Hamby and Kelsey Plum, you know, Dearica's been playing tough against Vegas since she went over to L.A., Kelsey Plum being over there, that could be a huge game for the Sparks. As far as the rest, I haven't looked at the schedule for the rest of the league. I've been kind of swamped this week with some other things, college football getting started, doing some ESPN radio and UNLV football, not to mention the Raiders. But I do want to do that this weekend when I go out to the Aces facility, is kind of look at everybody's schedule that's still in the playoff race and who they have left. Because it is going to be important. And I think it's not so much about who they're playing in the first round. Even if you get that 5-6 seed, you know, I think the 4-5 will be a great series. It's who doesn't want to play who in the second round? Who's catching the momentum? Which 6, 7, 8? We talked about this earlier this year, and I was like, who doesn't want to play the 7-8 seed? Who's going to be that 7-8 seed? It's always a dangerous seed in the WNBA playoffs. So, you know, the one team that I predicted on the show, I think 2 appearances ago, they're not going to make the playoffs, so I have to come on and say that I was wrong. But I said to watch out for Dallas. But we have a little bit of improvement. Of course, they unleashed Nalissa Smith and Dejanay Carrington. So I think that was a sign that they moved on, and they're sort of looking toward next season, and they're going to figure out what they want to do and who they're teaming up with Paige Beckers. But I think there are a lot of dangerous seeds in the first round. And then who's going where in the second round is really going to be telling a lot. Right now, the most dangerous team in the league, no doubt, is, after watching the Lynx lose last night, is the Las Vegas Aces.
Willie, I'm curious, you know, they are on the heater of all heaters, you know, the longest win streak in a decade that we've seen in the WNBA. And I'm curious, is this just an insane run that they on, or have they, in your mind, systematically improved so much that now all of a sudden maybe there's a glimmer that, you know, maybe they could make a real run at this thing in your mind? Because they seem pretty flawed to me before this mammoth run here.
No, there's no doubt that right now they're a legitimate WNBA contender. They can win the championship. Like if we were in the playoffs right now and you put them, if you put them in a 1-game playoff to win it all, everybody just shuts it down. We're not going to have any playoffs. We're going to take the top 2 teams. I'm taking the Aces. They're playing at a different level. They're in a different mindset. Anybody can. I mean, they're doing what they did when we saw their dominant run during the championship seasons at their best play, either in year 1 or year 2 of their championship, their back-to-back championships. It's that simple. I mean, I want you to think about something. Jewel Lloyd is their now 6th player. Jewel Lloyd, an Olympic gold medalist, multi-Olympic gold medalist, 2-time WNBA champion, the former face of the Seattle Storm, is now the Aces' 6th player. Then you got Dana Evans, right, who won a championship in Chicago and is doing what she's doing. You have a rookie in Aaliyah Nye who's just dying to get back to what she did at the beginning of the season. She's been in a horrible slump. So she's due. She's overdue. And then, oh, by the way, their 4th option is their former starter from the championship team, Kia Stokes, who has 2 rings, who did nothing but win overseas, and who's a champion from UConn. So that's 9 players deep. You know what I mean? I mean, Jewel Lloyd, and when Jewel Lloyd and Becky Hammond said, hey, who are we going to come off the bench? And because Kia had already been sat down, who are we going to use? Kirsten Bell. Why? She knows the system. She's won 2 titles. Her rookie year and her second year with the Aces, she won championships. So, I mean, you're talking about a lot of familiarity. You're talking about championship experience with Dana Evans mixed in there. This is a dangerous basketball team with a lot of experience, a lot of championship pedigree, and can go down to the 9th player. And Megan Gustafson is a key component. She's actually now the 3rd option off the bench. If I'm not mistaken, it goes Jewel Lloyd, Dana Evans, Megan Gustafson, Kia Stokes, and now the rookie Aaliyah Nye, who, like I said, if she catches fire, is dangerous from downtown. She's just sort of hit a lull. So Becky's pulled her minutes, but when she catches fire, it's all over.
I love it. You get me fired up here. You bring in a little enthusiasm because I was waffling prior to this epic run here.
You were. I mean, the last couple times you were on, you were eating Eggos.
I was down in the dumps.
You were pile driving the Eggos. I saw you. You were all over the waffles.
Willie G. Ramirez joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, talking a little WNBA. Willie, one of the hottest conversations on socials with regards to the W is, who is your MVP? And you kind of referenced Alyssa Thomas a little bit ago with the Mercury and what she's been doing. Obviously, Asia is Asia. Fee has been out with that injury. She's coming back now. Brianna Stewart's been hurt. She's coming back now. What's your feel for that?
Well, I think you're leaving one person out. I don't think Brianna Stewart's even in the MVP conversation this season. I think Alicia Gray. First of all, let me point this out to a lot of people that are listening. I don't think Alicia Gray should be in the most improved player category. I don't think that she should be in that conversation, and I'll tell you why. A'ja Wilson's coming off a career year in which she was a unanimous MVP, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that's the case, and she was coming off back-to-back championships, in which one of those years she won an MVP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then last year she gets unanimous. Well, if last year was her career year, the best year she ever had since coming into this league, why wasn't she improved, right? Why wasn't she most improved? Why? Because the greatest players in the league are supposed to be better every year. If not, then they're improving if they're having a career year. So Alicia Gray's having a career year. To me, that's not improvement. That's just that's expected by the best player on that team and arguably a top 5 player in the league. She's an MVP candidate is what Alicia Gray is. So I just want to put that out there that I don't think that the greatest players in the league that are up for MVP, that are supposed to be better every single year in certain categories, should be an MIP, because then, like I said, A'ja should have been most improved player last year. End of story. That being said, as far as the MVP is concerned, here's the thing. Nafisa's back and she can make a run. I do think that September 4th could set up a showdown as to who is performing better right now. I think this is one of those conversations where you could argue A'ja down the stretch has been better. It's a 44-game schedule, so during these 12 games, there's 4 left, so that's 16 games. That's a little less than half, right? Half is, or 16 times 2 is 32. So you're a little bit less than half, maybe 40% of the season. It should be taken in consideration. If you take off the games that were missed by Nafisa, it equals the final stretch that A'ja has performed for the Aces to the end of the regular season. So you could take their body of work of the games that Nafisa's played and the games that A'ja's played and ask yourself, could the Aces have done what they've done without A'ja? Could the Lynx do what they did without Nafisa? And the fact of the matter is, the Lynx held their own the number 1 spot and were winning without Nafisa Collier. They have Kayla McBride, they have Courtney Williams, they have T, they have, we can go down the list, right? Lana Smith, they have components. I don't think that the Aces do what they did without the likes of A'ja Wilson. Now, Alyssa Thomas brings an interesting conversation because she's called the engine, and yes, she does what she does, the triple doubles. Ask the same question. Now, you have a stacked roster there with Kalia Copper, who's a former champ, a WNBA, an MVP, with Chicago when they won the title, and other players mixed in with that roster. You know, Satu Sabli came in from Dallas. You have DeWanna Bonner now on that roster. So I think you have to ask those same questions. I'm not saying this because I cover the Aces and I'm in Las Vegas, but I think right now A'ja Wilson has stolen the spotlight, and I think because it's fresh in our minds what she's doing, that the voters, and I'm not a voter, I think she's stolen the MVP right from Nafisa while Nafisa was out. If Nafisa never gets injured, and you can blame Carol Reed for this, she probably is still holding. Now, she's the small favorite. I want you to think about something. Before this 12-game win streak, A'ja Wilson was 100-1 long shot to win the MVP. it's now like she's like plus 180. So big jump. As of right now, I'm giving the nod to A'ja Wilson.
Willie, the obvious thing that, my mind kind of wonders is, you hear this across all sports. How much, in your mind, with the voters, is there kind of that fatigue factor? Because to me, that seems like the real issue here is, she's already won 2, or 3, we've given her enough. And it's time for somebody else to maybe get it. Is that real in your mind, do you think, with this voting group?
Yes, in certain markets, I definitely think. I think that I think, you see it East Coast, West Coast biased. I think that there are going to be voters that are going to sort of empathize and think that it's time for Nafisa to win it. I don't think you're ever going to get in the WNBA voters that go, well, we're tired of seeing A'ja Wilson. Because here's the thing. Nafisa Collier has been the best player the entire season. Okay, I'm not going to take that away from her. But with what we're seeing down the stretch, when you're talking about the MVP for her team, A'ja Wilson is it. A'ja Wilson is the best player on the planet, hands down. You're not going to convince me otherwise. I've been saying this since the Liberty and the Aces created this rivalry. Even when the Aces beat the Sun for their first title, that Breanna Stewart and A'ja Wilson was the new sports rivalry that we needed, right? In all sports, Brady, Manning, right? Red Sox, Yankees. We could go player for player, whatever you want to say. This was the rivalry we needed, right, is Breanna Stewart and A'ja. A'ja eventually pulled away from that and became the face of the league. And I still think she's the face of the league. And she's the greatest player on the planet. But I don't think voters are ever going to say we're tired of seeing A'ja Wilson win the MVP. I just think that there are going to be people who are going to be like, Fee deserves her flowers, and she should get it. And she does deserve her flowers. I just think that A'ja Wilson, what she's doing is unheard of. It's unthinkable. You look at the numbers that she's put together, these 30-point games. I didn't realize that there had never been a 30-20 double-double in the history of the league. I would have never thought that with some of the greats that have come through. Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson. I mean, you can go down the list. But she scores 32 points and grabs 20 rebounds. She's the first player to do it and doesn't lose steam after that.
Right.
She almost did it again. It wasn't like she had 18, 19 rebounds, but she still has been teetering with these incredible numbers, 30-plus points and double-digit rebounds. So, but to answer your question, I don't think it's a matter of being against A'ja. I think it's more so in wanting to give Fee her flowers. And AT, for that matter. There's going to be people that believe Alyssa Thomas deserves it, and she does deserve votes.
And about 3 weeks ago, it felt like she was the hot hand right before A'ja really got cranked up.
Well, yeah, 3-4 weeks ago, it was
triple doubles every night.
Fee, Alyssa, Alicia Gray, Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson at the sports books in terms of the odds order.
Oh wow.
So yeah, before Caitlin Clark was officially out, that with what we're seeing, she was still in the mix. So those odds have shifted dramatically, and that's enough to tell you the effect that she has.
Mm-hmm. Willie G. Ramirez joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, talking a little WNBA. Willie, as always, we appreciate your insight. We appreciate your time, and we look forward to catching up with you here probably as we get the postseason figured out. So stay close.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll catch up soon. I can't remember when the Raiders are down there. They visit Nashville this year.
No, they're in Vegas, and it's like October 17th ish, somewhere in that neck of the woods.
Is it?
Yeah, they're having a big Titans road rally. Only reason I know that. And tickets, as you well know, they're pricey no matter who's in town for that stadium.
What's the date?
The 19th
of
maybe actually it's the 12th
of October.
Excuse me. Yes.
So we might be in the final. So we might have to plan a Raiders WNBA chat with the playoffs coming around, and if the Aces are it doesn't matter. Aces are in or not. We could talk WNBA, we could talk NFL, we could talk whatever you want.
Love it.
Appreciate you. We'll catch up.
All right, fellas. Talk to you soon.
See you,
Thank
Willie.
you.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back into the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's David Wilson. I'm Maurice Patton. Always fun catching up with Willie G. Ramirez, talking a little WNBA. We'll be talking a little bit more W in the grab bag to close the show, but right now, getting to a little college football and specifically some FCS football. We're pleased to have with us from the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead, North Dakota, Mike McFeely joining us. Mike, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. I'm going to have some difficulty matching the energy of Willie Ramirez there. He brings the thunder when he's talking to you guys, man.
We have trouble matching the energy of Willie G. Ramirez, Mike. So it's all good. You are in fine shape, man. We appreciate you taking some time with us. When we went to set this up, I asked you if you could join us today or tomorrow. You said you'd be getting into Nashville tomorrow. When's your flight?
Our company has a plane, so I'm flying down on the company plane. We'll be getting in about noon, I believe. And so I have some interviews lined up over at Vanderbilt because the FCS National Championship game, which I know you guys already know, is going to move from Frisco, Texas to Nashville for at least the next 2 years. And so I want to kind of go do some recon and talk to some people at the stadium just in case in January the North Dakota State Bison football team goes back to the FCS title game again. So Friday is like a recon day just in case, and then Saturday is the game against Tennessee State.
I want to get into all of that with you, Mike, over this next segment, but really you kind of lost me at my company has a plane.
Yeah, we own several newspapers and a couple of, 3-4 TV stations. And for as long as I can remember, we have had the great privilege, probably the only newspaper media company in the country to have access to a King Air 300 to fly around the country to cover North Dakota State football. So it's really nice. It's really nice.
That might be the understatement. We have been on the air for about 4 years, Mike. That might be the understatement of this show. It's really nice.
I'll tell you this, many years ago, when Reggie Bush was the Heisman favorite, many years ago, I'm a Heisman voter, and through one thing and another, it turned out that Bill Plaschke, the famed columnist from the Los Angeles Times,
famous or infamous,
heard about the fact that I was a Heisman voter and that I was leaning toward voting for Reggie Bush to win the Heisman that year. And it was still, if I recall right, it wasn't a sure thing that Reggie was going to win. But Bill called me and did an interview for a column for the LA Times. And I brought that up with him about the company plane. And it was just an interview. It wasn't live or anything, but he kept going, "No, wait a second. What did you say?" He'd be asking me about Reggie Bush. I'd give the answer. He'd go, "Okay. Now, just to be clear,
tell me about this plane
that you fly." I said, "Yes." So it's all good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I got to get my mind back to North Dakota State football, though. How long have you been with the forum, Mike? First of all,
well, I've been with the forum for about 35 years. Worked my way up through the ladder. I've covered North Dakota State football in one capacity or another since 1997.
Okay.
I left the newspaper business for a few years to go do talk radio, and
but none of the radio stations had a plane, so you came back.
Yeah, sure, that's right. Yes, exactly. And so,
Okay.
but even when I was there, I was helping cover NDSU, and so been just about 30 years now covering North Dakota State football.
Okay, so you've been on the ground then for all 10 NDSU FCS championships, starting with 2011, right?
Correct. Yep, I've seen it. They were obviously Division II before they went Division I in 2003 or 2004 rather, and so I've been there from the first FCS game, and I included some Division II coverage in there, but I've covered NDSU all the way through its Division I dynasty here.
Dynasty. Explain that. How is there a football dynasty in Fargo, North Dakota? No disrespect. I'm just trying to understand how they've been able to do this. Again, since 2011, this program has won 10 FCS national championships, most recently last year. And so when Mike McFeely says he's coming down to do a little recon in case NDSU is in the championship game in January, there's a pretty good chance he's going to need that recon.
Yeah, North Dakota State's had a long history of being really good at football. They won 8 national championships in the old college division of NCAA and then in Division II. So they, from the mid 1960s or late 1960s up until they turned Division I, they were a powerhouse in Division II. So they won 8 national championships, including multiple in a row in the 1980s up until 1990. So when they made the move to Division I in 2004, there was some question, there was some pushback. There was one idiot columnist who said that they shouldn't go Division I because I thought that they would not be quite as successful in Division I as they were in Division II. I have given my mea culpa on that now for 20 some years. I was completely wrong. I couldn't have been more wrong. But they started off quickly in Division I, and they won some FBS games early on in 2005. They actually won 2 FBS games in 2005. In 2007, they beat the University of Minnesota. They were not yet eligible for the FCS playoffs, so it didn't really matter other than excitement. But they've been able to get great players up here. They've used their tradition. They've obviously had terrific funding. They've had great support, great fan support. And they've just kind of done everything right in their move to Division I to make sure that they've been successful. I don't know that anybody saw that they were going to win 10 national titles in 14 years. But when they made the move up to FCS, what was then called 1AA in 2004, the president at the time, Joseph Chapman, and the athletic director, Gene Taylor, they made clear that they were not going to half-arse it, if I can say that. They were going to go all in terms of funding, in terms of coaching, in terms of staff, in terms of facilities, and they have done that. just a couple of years ago, North Dakota State opened a $55 million indoor practice facility just for football. And so they have what it takes to compete, obviously. And you guys know FCS football, so you know East Tennessee State, Tennessee State, you know Austin P. Those schools, in terms of facilities, funding, support, booster donations, they can't compete with that. And so NDSU has a built-in advantage from the jump, but they've taken advantage of that and brought in a lot of great players and a lot of great coaches, and they've won a lot of football games.
It's right about now, Mark, that I should tell you, as you invoke the name Austin P, that I'm a Middle Tennessee State grad.
Oh,
And
okay.
This weekend was not very fun.
It was not fun. I did not do that on purpose. That was not a shot across the bow.
That's okay.
The outcome, because I actually watched some of that game. I love college football. I watched some of that game, but I did not know that was your alma mater.
No, that's okay. It's okay. Mark McNeely of the Forum of FARGO-MOORHEAD, North Dakota, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Again, obviously, there's a big ball game coming up Saturday as you guys come down to take on Tennessee State over at Nissan Stadium. This is your second trip in as many weeks. Went over to the Citadel this past weekend, won 38-0. What is it that people need to know about this team, this 2025 Bison team, other than they're really good?
Well, a lot of new faces from a year ago. Last year, North Dakota State had, I think 26 seniors, including a left tackle who was drafted 18th overall in the NFL draft, Gray Zabel to the Seattle Seahawks, including a quarterback, Cam Miller, who was drafted in the 6th round by the Las Vegas Raiders, including a right tackle who was signed immediately after the draft as a preferred free agent by the Detroit Lions and made that roster. Including about 4 other guys who also got NFL chances. So there's been some talent lost for sure on North Dakota State's football team. But as they've shown over the years, there's more players to come. And this team is ranked number 1, in part because, of course, they won the national championship last year. There's no doubt about it. But they're likely, at this point of the season, the best team in FCS. Especially with all the transfer portal movement and all that stuff going on. And again, Tennessee State knows all about that. You guys know all about that. But NDSU lost a bunch of seniors, lost a couple of key players in the portal, including Marty Brown, who scored a touchdown against for Miami in their game the other day. He was their top running back last year at North Dakota State. So they have some talent. The quarterback this year, Cole Payton, is a guy who's been here for 5 years. Has never started a game prior to last week, but he showed what he could do, putting together 300 total yards, passing and running, including over 100 yards rushing. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, big kid. But just a Logan Kopp, one of the outside linebackers, is a 5th-year guy, 4-year starter, 2-time all-conference guy, number 43. He led the team in tackles. He's really, really good. He's an All-American candidate. So they still have some talent. It's just a matter of some of the holes they have on the offensive line and other areas are not quite so great. And I haven't even mentioned Bryce Lance, the younger brother of Trey Lance, the quarterback who was drafted. Bryce Lance last year was just dynamite late in the season in the playoffs, and he's projected to possibly be drafted somewhere in that 2nd to 4th round in the NFL draft if things go well this season. He's good. He's number 5 in your program, 6'3", 210 pounds, great hands, and can move a little bit as well.
Mike, there are definitely worse places to travel to in the beginning of September than Nashville and North Dakota State playing in a NFL stadium down at Nissan Stadium against Tennessee State. I wanted to ask you just, this matchup between these two, obviously Tennessee State being an HBCU or North Dakota State a perennial title contender, as you've kind of talked about and explained. Why was it important for these two to face off and play the last couple of years? Obviously, Tennessee State made the trip up to the Fargo Dome last year. Why did maybe kind of talk about how this came together and why is it important for both these programs to play each other?
Yeah, it's part of what's going on at North Dakota State is when you win as many games as they have the last 15 years and win as many titles. Frankly, there's been, believe it or not, a kind of a drop off in passion among the fan base and and a drop in attendance, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
The Fargo Dome seats just about 19,000, and they stopped selling out probably 3 or 4 years after COVID kind of screwed things up like it did for everybody. But after that, they just haven't been selling out as much. And so there's a drop in interest. I think there's a good portion of the people here in Fargo and Moorhead, Minnesota, and the area who, quite frankly, are bored with all the success, which sounds silly, but it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that North Dakota State is trying to do is schedule games in really cool locations. Charleston last week is an example. What a great town that was. Nashville this week scheduled the home and home with both the Citadel and Tennessee State. So it's giving North Dakota State fans and everybody else who follows the program a chance to go to a destination and see something different and go to a cool place. North Dakota State sort of turned Frisco, Texas into a little destination of its own, because when NDSU first got down there in 2011, after the 2011 season, they brought 15,000 of their closest friends down there with them to go to the FCS title game. And it became a thing every year for Bison fans to go down there and fill Frisco, Texas, and make it what's called Fargo South in January. And so NDSU travels well. The fan base that can afford it, it costs money to travel, but the fan base that can afford it likes to go places, likes to see new locales. And that's one of the reasons why they scheduled Tennessee State, is to go to Nashville and play in an NFL stadium. It was just announced a couple weeks ago that NDSU is going to play in Las Vegas in 2027 against Montana State. And that's another destination game to get the Bison fans to go to Las Vegas to fill up Allegiant Stadium out there.
And you mentioned really quickly before I toss it back to Mo, you mentioned Cole Payton just briefly, his success last week against the Citadel. You mentioned it, a guy that's kind of waited his turn. That's kind of rare in college football, no matter what level you're at nowadays, to wait your turn and earn that opportunity. He passed it really well last week, also showed his dual threat ability of being able to run it. Just kind of talked about him as an individual and the kind of the matchup nightmare he kind of presents for this Tennessee State defense that's going to have to face him on Saturday at Nissan Stadium.
One of the questions this fall in Fargo, including from guys like me, has been, we knew Cole Payton could run because his package the last couple of seasons behind Cam Miller he was kind of the wildcat guy. He was the running quarterback. They'd bring Cole Payton in the game. It was a 90% chance he was going to run. And he showed speed and size and strength because he had a couple of 70-yard type touchdown runs in the past couple of years, and he can wheel and he can knock guys over. The question was whether he can throw. And idiots like me kept asking him, can you throw? I mean, we just don't know. And he would get annoyed with me at times, I think, and kind of like look at me like, what are you talking about? But that's been a question is, there's a long lineage of quarterbacks at North Dakota State. Brock Jensen was really the first guy got an NFL chance. That was followed by Carson Wentz. You might have heard of him. He was drafted number 2 overall. That was followed by Easton Stick, who was still in the NFL today in his 6th year. He was the quarterback for 3 years at NDSU. That was followed by Trey Lance, who you might have heard of, who we've already talked about. That was followed by Cam Miller, for the most part, who is now in the NFL as well. And so there's a long lineage of great quarterbacks who've made the NFL at NDSU. And so you have to figure that Cole Payton is good because they recruited him, they kept him around, but we just didn't know if he could throw. I think he showed last week, outside of the first couple of series when it was pouring rain in Charleston, that he can throw it just fine. But it's, the Citadel is not one of the top FCS teams. Tennessee State, with all due respect to those folks in Nashville, are not going to be contending likely for a national championship. And so we'll see how things go this week. We'll see how things go next week. And then after that is the conference season when NDSU starts to kind of get into the meat of their schedule. But the question was whether Cole Payton could throw. He's a lefty. Last week he showed he can throw a little bit.
Mike McFeely of the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead, North Dakota, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, as we get ready for the NDSU invasion to take on Tennessee State over at Nissan Stadium on Saturday. Mike, from talking to Coach Polasek and the staff over there, what are their concerns with Tennessee State, with first-year coach Reggie Barlow, and what they're going to put on the field on Saturday?
Yeah, a couple of things that Paulsek mentioned in his presser this week was number one, the running back, Rhymes, very talented kid, went for a couple of long touchdown runs against North Carolina A&T last week. Very impressive speed. The head coach said that there's been some NFL scouts going through Nashville, going through Tennessee State to take a look at him because of what he can do. So that's a concern. I think what Paulsek said was anytime you have a number of big plays over 51 yards, those 3 touchdowns were, that's a concern that a team can break big plays and has the speed to do that. So that's one concern. The other was all the NFL experience on the coaching staff. I mean, Tennessee State has guys who have, they're not high school coaches moving up. They're guys who have been in the NFL.
Well, they have one of those too now. Their tight ends coach was a successful head coach here in the mid-state, in Metro Nashville, as a high school coach for a while as well. But yeah, they do have a lot of salt on that team from the professional level, like you said.
Particularly at the defensive coordinator spot with Greg Williams. Paulsek mentioned him specifically saying, look, I don't think they're going to let us do whatever we want to do all the time. I mean, I think Greg Williams is good enough and smart enough, and the whole coaching staff is, to say, okay, this is what NSU wants to do. Let's not let them do that, and then see what the second option or the third option might be and see if they can execute that. So we'll see what happens. I haven't seen a line in the game yet. I'm guessing North Dakota State would be favored by 24 points or more. They were favored by 31 last week at the Citadel. I think Tennessee State's better than the Citadel from what I can tell, just watching what I can see of the games and stuff. But we'll see. I think Paulsek is expecting some little wrinkles and twists from Greg Williams that might be a challenge for him.
You talked about coming down and doing a little recon, Mike. Do you feel like some fans are kind of doing that as well, coming down in anticipation of being back down here in January?
That could be. The number that North Dakota State is kind of casually tossing around is that there could be 10,000 NDSU fans down there for the game on Saturday. And so I don't know if that's true or not. They sometimes kind of overestimate, but Nashville is, of course, one of the places to go now in the United States. And so I think there's going to be a lot of people down here to enjoy Nashville. First of all, I've never been. I've been around a little bit. I've never been to Nashville. So I'm probably like a lot of fans that maybe have not been down there that kind of want to see Nashville first and foremost for the first time. But I think there's maybe some people that want to go down there to maybe kind of see what the city might offer in January if the Bison were lucky enough and good enough to get back to the title game. Frisco really became, as I said earlier, a place that Fargo fans and Bison fans really became familiar with. I mean, when you go down there 11 times in 14 years, because they lost a title game to South Dakota State back in 2022, I mean, you get to know the restaurants, you get to know people, you make friendships when you're down someplace. I've spent like 50 days in Frisco, Texas in the last, 14 years because I've been down there so much. So you get to know people, you get to know places, you get to know restaurants, bars, whatever you want to do. And I think Bison fans who have not been to Nashville maybe want to familiarize themselves with the places to go. I've heard there's a couple. The rumor is there's a couple places to go in Nashville.
There's a couple. Absolutely. Mike McFeely of the Forum of FARGO-MOORHEAD, North Dakota, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Mike, we appreciate your time. Enjoy your flight, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
All righty.
Good travels.
Let's take our final break, come back, get into the grab bag here as we wrap up Throwback Thursday on Main Street Sports Today. Stay tuned.
Being in Tennessee, we wanted to try to keep it as local as possible, so we have an entire section of our menu that is just dedicated to local whiskeys like Uncle Nearest, Jack Daniels, of course, George Dickel, Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier Whiskey, and all of our taps are all local. From 2 o'clock until midnight, we've got food every day for you guys. A good handful of appetizers, some entrees, and a couple salads and things like that. My name is Ethan Kanata. Please come down and see us at the Pick Lobby Bar here at the Omni in Nashville.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it, but it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
It's the final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And David, I don't know if we've had another guest who has access to a private plane. That one just kind of blew my mind right there. Dave Gould's going to have to step up his game.
Maybe a helicopter to get us to Mount Juliet or wherever we're going. You know, a helicopter would be nice. We can put that in the next budget and planning meeting.
Hey, yeah, we'll have to be sure and drop that, or just run this clip from the last segment for Dave and just tell him, hey, dude, come on. Norfolk 5, Nashville 1 final in a 11:05 start, 12:05 in Norfolk. The Sounds had their 6-game win streak snapped with that loss, despite a pretty solid performance from Chad Patrick in that start, but they will continue that series with a 5:35 start tomorrow, and then games on Saturday and Sunday to close it out before they come back Tuesday and take on visiting Gwinnett. We mentioned earlier in the show, NFL regular season play begins tonight with the Cowboys going to Philadelphia, continues tomorrow with the Chiefs and the Chargers playing in Brazil. I'm kind of intrigued about how big the chip is on the Chiefs Chargers going into that, on the Chiefs shoulders going into that matchup with the Chargers. There we go.
Yeah, I was listening to a media conference from the Chiefs this morning, and someone asked Travis Kelce point blank, "Is this the last dance?" You know, he said, "I feel good, and I'm ready to go," and everything that you expected him to say. But he's getting older, and it's hard to keep those championship rosters together after years. So it could feel like a last dance ish. I think a lot of people would say, if they would have won it last year, he might have walked off into the sunset. Hard to beat 3 in a row, right? So
hard to beat 3 in a row, and he's kind of got some changes in his life, so that maybe football might be taking a lesser role for him. So
yeah, my Packers took that last year. They played the Eagles, who went on to win the Super Bowl in Brazil, the first game of the year. And that travel was rough on both teams. Obviously, you're out of your norm, and that's a long flight. So I know the NFL is all for expansion and globalizing its game and growing it. But that flight from LA to Brazil can't be fun. And I believe 8 days later, they have another road game in Las Vegas against the Raiders. So the first couple weeks of the season, not only do you play the defending AFC champion and your division rival Chiefs in week 1, but having to play another division rival the next week on the road, that's a lot of travel and a lot of weary legs, even though it's the beginning of the year already.
Yeah. Not just that game involving a couple of AFC West rivals that is making news in that division. Amari Cooper apparently has announced his retirement earlier this afternoon. 5-time Pro Bowl receiver who had just joined the Raiders has let them know he no longer has the desire to play football. the number 4 overall pick of the Raiders in 2015, and I'm not sure whether they were the Las Vegas or the Los Angeles or the Oakland Raiders at that point, but was back for about a week. 10 years later, he's decided that he's going to go do something else. As we were talking about Travis Kelce, and
Oh, he's a
again,
good player.
that's got to be tough timing, man.
Yeah, he was a really good player. I mean, I remember the days of him at Alabama wearing that number 9, and that was back in the day when Lane Kiffin was the OC. And they would just show shots on the sideline of Lane Kiffin already's got his hands up, signaling touchdown.
Yeah.
When Amari Cooper had that one-on-one coverage, so he was a great player. Obviously, you mentioned drafted by the Raiders, played for the Cowboys, played for the Browns, played for the Bills last year. He kind of cooked the Titans a little bit last year up with Josh Allen and Orchard Park. A really good wide receiver, it's football is just one of those sports, man. Just age, the hits, they add up. The desire, like if you're not motivated to go out there, he's made his money. Why risk it?
It's tough enough when you are motivated, I would imagine. But 10 years, 711 career catches, 10,033 yards, 64 touchdowns. That ain't bad.
It's not bad.
You'll take that. A little closer to home, the Titans have named Chimere Dike, 4th rounder out of Florida, as their number 1 return man for both kickoffs and punts. So he will make his debut in those roles Sunday when the Titans go out to Denver. And it's interesting because I'm not sure just how often you see rookies in those roles. But they've got a veteran special teams coach, and so if he's got faith in him, then I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is the last day I'll obviously be on the show, so I won't be able to really preview with you and Wade tomorrow the matchup. That's a tough matchup going against a really good Denver team. I've seen them by some to win the AFC West. That includes the Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, Bo Nix and Sean Payton are a really good mix and good marriage last year. And their defense with Pat Surtain shutting down on one side of the field at the corner position. Cam Ward is going to have his hands full with that Broncos defense and the Titans defense. There's some question marks, particularly with the secondary. I know L'Jarius Sneed is healthy now and going to play. But the Titans defense is going to have to answer the bell against a really good Denver team as well.
Yeah, that Titans defense got a little bit of a boost when they picked up former Arizona linebacker Kazir White earlier this week, named him to the practice squad. It'll be interesting to see if he's active this weekend against Denver or not. But again, any help a 3-14 defense can get has got to be good. 615 tackles in 7 seasons with the Chargers, Eagles, and Cardinals. So you'd like to think that's going to be a nice little addition for the Titans.
Yeah, absolutely. You would.
You
need all the reinforcements and help you can get.
Without question. Yeah. I mean, so as we've said at various points across this show, just because they came up with a 53-man roster coming out of training camp, they were going to be looking to improve that constantly. And it feels like White is another step in that direction. So we'll see how that goes. NSC defeated Huntsville City 6-1 last night in their annual Space Cowboy match against their top affiliate, as they try to put Atlanta United and that debacle last weekend out of their mind. We mentioned Lynx and Aces, 9 o'clock tonight. You can see it on Amazon Prime. We'll talk more about that one tomorrow. Believe that will do it for the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Be sure and join me and Wade tomorrow as we talk about Eagles, Cowboys, talk about week 2 of college football, and more right here. We'll see y'all at 2 o'clock. Join us.